Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name's Tanya, and today I want to share something really good with you. Of course, I'm going to say it's good, but you're just not going to believe how good this tastes. Have you ever had somebody hand you something and say, this tastes just like whatever? And then sometimes you're pleasantly surprised and your whole demeanor changes. Your eyes light up and you go, it really does taste like that. That's crazy. Well, this is one of those soups. We've had guests in our house before, and I think I served maybe 2 or 3 different flavors of soups that day. And one of our guests' kids, a teenager at the time, took the first bite of this soup, and I had explained to him this was bacon cheeseburger soup, and his eyes got big, and he looked so serious, and he said, that really does taste like a bacon cheeseburger. And I said, I know. But here's the good part. If you have someone in your family that's sensitive to gluten, this is completely gluten-free. There's no bun in there, but you're not gonna miss it. It's so good. So stick around, watch the video, and see if it's something you might like to try. I think you're gonna like it. All right, so what we've just done was fry our bacon in this stock pot. We've got our bacon. It's crisp. It's not floppy anywhere. You want it to be crisp because you're going to crumble this up after a while. So turn my burner off just briefly. We'll turn it back on. We're just going to put it on low heat. We want to brown our ground beef. Now this is, here's the pack. I don't want to drip anything. That's kind of disgusting. That's why I open it like this. That's what this is. So we have 2 of these. 2 pounds of ground beef. Now I've poured off most of my bacon grease. Leave some in there and enjoy that. You don't have to pour every single drop off. But I am saving that. Now, the package of bacon that I bought was 12 ounces and it had 8 slices in it, so I'm frying up 6 of those slices because I only need a ½ pound of bacon. And to the ½ pound of bacon that's set aside, we're gonna cook up our 2 pounds of ground beef in this stock pot. I know I'm repeating myself, but I just want to make sure I cover all the bases as far as giving you amounts of things. And I know my husband's going to edit it and he's going to put it on the screen, but just for my own sanity, I need to make sure I'm saying that. So with our ground beef, we're going to also add a 1/4 cup of chopped onion. Now this is, I had some onions that I bought in bulk here a while back, so I found a big bag of organic onions. I bought a bunch of them, and some of them were trying to get soft on the outside, so I just took and chopped up the clean parts of them, and I put them in the freezer. So these are frozen onions, and they work perfectly like that. So if you have an onion going bad, by all means, don't waste it. Take off the bad part, chop up the good part, put it in a zip top bag, and put it in the freezer. I'm going to get a big spoon. Trying to find my big spoon over here. We're just going to stir this up as we're cooking it. Break it up real good. Don't leave any chunks in this. Turn that up just a little bit higher. I think I can afford to brown it a little faster. My husband always says, I edit out the parts where you're not saying anything, and we laugh and say, that's not a lot of time right there where you're not saying something. So sometimes I'll just be quiet and he can edit it out. But now's not one of those times. Even though it's pretty warm today here in central Arkansas, it's probably supposed to be up to, I don't know, maybe the low 90s today. But it is the end of May. This soup is so worth it. It is just so much fun. And I wish I could remember where I actually got this recipe, but I'm not sure anymore. I know I've been serving it probably for about 3 or 4 years now. Sorry, you can hear the doggies in the background. One of them's out in the sunroom, and she apparently sees the neighbor dog. And even though the neighbor dog's in his own yard, she does not like that. She needs him to know that she's here, and she's aware that he's out there, just walking around. Okay, so that ground beef is going to brown, and that onion is going to cook along with it in here. In the meantime, we have 32 ounces of beef broth. This is just beef bone broth that I made back in July of last year. This has been in the back of the refrigerator. It stays good for a long time. So July, May, do the math. So that's about 32 ounces of that. So you need a quart of beef broth, 14.5-ounce can of diced tomatoes. And I use the fire roasted. I do. I just think they're so good. But you can use just regular diced tomatoes. 2 dill pickle spears diced. Now these are the smaller whole dill pickles, and I'll show you which ones I use. It's these right here. But there's also a brand called Woodstock that has just as good of a flavor as these do. In fact, they may be made by the same company. I don't know. Kroger pulls shenanigans like that every once in a while, and that's okay, as long as I can get one of them. But they are fabulous, fabulous pickles. They have great ingredients in them, and the flavor is just almost hard to beat. All right, so we have, I'd say that's about a quarter of a cup of chopped dill pickles. I don't know. We really like dill pickles, so I don't care if there's too much in there. And I also have a 12-ounce package of American cheese. Now, little FYI on American cheese. Kraft singles are not real cheese. I know that's a shocker to some of y'all. So if it's wrapped in that plastic and you have to peel it off and it looks like a wet piece of skin from a cadaver, yeah, just don't do that. You'll need the Deli Deluxe American. This does not say processed cheese food, even though it should say processed cheese not food on the singles. This says pasteurized processed American cheese. So this is the kind you'll want to get. There's store brands, those are fine too. These just had a little bit better ingredients in my opinion, from what I was reading on here. So this is 12 ounces and there's 16 slices. So we only need 8 ounces. So we're gonna do about 10 slices, something like that. So we'll have a few slices left after we're done with it. But we're also gonna need mustard and ketchup, so I'm gonna get those out of the refrigerator. And this is just plain old ketchup and plain old mustard. This actually goes together pretty quick. By far, browning the ground beef and cooking the bacon ahead of time, that's what takes the most time. After that, it just goes together super quick. We're also going to need 4 ounces of cream cheese. Hopefully anybody who's been watching my videos knows there's going to be cream cheese sneaking in there somewhere, but I'm telling you, it just absolutely makes this perfect. So we just have some regular cream cheese. Our Kroger store, which is about 30 miles away from here, that I have to drive to get to Kroger, they carry the organic kind sometimes, but most of the time that I've been recently, they've not carried it. And it may be because they're having some remodeling issues and they just don't have shelf room for it. I don't know. But I've not been able to find the organic kind. But that conventional kind is just fine too. It doesn't have too many adverse ingredients in it. All right, our ground beef, let me give you a look at this, if I can get it over there. That's looking pretty good. So pretty browned and looking like we want it to. So at this point, we're going to start adding our other ingredients to it. This is our beef broth. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to get my huge muscles in there. All right, quart of bean broth. That's not bean broth, that's bone broth. But it's beef bone broth. And this is just the fat that's collected on the top of that container, if you're wondering what's going on there. Then we have our can of diced tomatoes. Open that up and put them in. Then we need the dill pickles. And then we need about 3 tablespoons of mustard. And 1/4 of a cup is about 4 tablespoons. So we're going to almost fill up our little thing right there. That looks like about 3 tablespoons to me. How about we get a little spatula so we can get this out? And then we're going to put 3 tablespoons of ketchup in there. Now this is a condiment we just don't use a lot at our house. I know people just go through gallons and gallons of ketchup. Now we're that way with the mustard. We're a mustard family, but I realize there's some ketchup families out there who just have loads of things to use ketchup on. We just don't. So again, almost filling this 1/4 cup container up. Got to get every drop of goodness out of there. All right. Next thing is 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, you can use regular salt, that's fine, and there's not going to be anything bad with that. But I like to use Salish salt, or also known as smoked salt. Now, this is Applewood smoked sea salt, and you can buy this at your natural food store, Good Measure Market, wherever, whatever you have in your town. And they'll probably have it in the bulk section. And you can buy as little or as much as you like, but I love this stuff. All it is just good quality sea salt that's been exposed to smoke over applewood wood. So that's it. So 1/4 teaspoon of that. Not much, but it does add that smoky flavor to it. So you're going to have the smoky flavor of the bacon, the hardwood smoked bacon, and then also the smoky flavor from the sea salt. All right, let's crack open our package of cheese here. So I'm going to need about 10 slices. All right, I'm going to put this aside over here because I'm not ready to put it in quite yet. We'll wrap that up in just a bit. Put it back in the fridge. Once my fat for my bone broth started melting in there, I knew that it was getting up to a good temperature, good warm temperature. All right, I'm going to measure out my cream cheese. I know I used an ounce of this the other day in something, so I'm going to need 4 ounces of this. Kind of make a line with my fingernail there. I just do this in hillbilly ways. It's our hillbilly way of measuring. All right, I'm going to drop the cream cheese in there. And I'll try to get that little bit of mustard and ketchup off the cream cheese in case I do something that's supposed to be a sweet dessert. I certainly don't want it tasting like mustard and ketchup. And I have something coming up in the next day or two that I'm going to be needing it just for that. It's not something savory, so I do not want it tasting like mustard and ketchup. All right, we'll get this put back up. Going to give this a stir. Go ahead and put our cheese in here. Instead of putting it all in one big blob, I'll just kind of lay the slices around like I do when I make cheese dip. I just feel like it melts quicker. think someday I'm going to experiment and see if this will actually work as far as the consistency goes with cheddar slices, because I'd rather use cheddar slices because cheddar is actually real cheese. Not that American cheese is not real cheese, but there is an argument going there as to whether or not it's an actual cheese. I don't really know what substantiates a real cheese, but you will have people argue the fact that American cheese is not real cheese. But I'd like to know if the consistency would be as good if you were to use 8 ounces of either shredded cheddar or cheddar slices, because I certainly don't want it looking like those little blobs of, just blobs of hot rubber or something in there floating around. I don't want that. Okay, we're going to let this heat up a bit, and we'll come back and I'll show you the final product. We're going to crumble our bacon up in it too at that point. Okay, so our soup is pretty much done except for that one important ingredient. We have the bacon, and as you can see, I've crushed it up. You don't have to tear it up in too small of bits. It's not like those fake bacon bits that are just like the size of confetti. You want to leave this in a little bit of more of a substantial chunk. Drop it in there, and we're done. It's not a super thick soup, so don't think you've done something wrong. Remember, there's no flour in this, there's no cornstarch, there's no thickening agent in it. If you want it thicker, you can always add some potato flakes to still keep it gluten-free, or just a potato mashed up. But as far as the flavor, this is the goods. I'm telling you, you're gonna think you're eating a bacon cheeseburger. It's so much fun. Okay, we'll turn the burner off now. So that wraps up our bacon cheeseburger soup, and I hope you give this a try. Thank you so much for watching. Just the fact that you've spent time with me throughout your day. I know you have a lot of things to do. Most people do, and so do I, but I'm so excited to be able to share this with you. So thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye.